Good morning. Welcome to the Buddhist Temple of Toledo. Please be seated for this morning's liturgy. Gata of atonement, all evil karma ever committed by me, sense of hold on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me, sense of hold on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me, sense of hold on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 refuges. Buddham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangam saranam Saranam gacchami. Sangam saranam gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground in which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, and may their vows be completely realized. May I cultivate these practices with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please stand for the Enmei Juku Kanangyo, which you can find on page 6. Enmei Juku Kanangyo Kanzeya Namu Butsuyo Butsu Enyo Butsu En Popo So Enjo Rakugajo Chonen Kanzeyan Bonen Kanzeyan Nen Nen Jushin Ki Nen Nen Furishin Kanzeyan Namu Butsuyo Butsu Enyo Butsu En Bobo So Enjo Rakugajo Chonen Kanzeyan Bonen Kanzeyan Nen Nen Jushin Ki Nen Nen Furishin Kanzeyan Namu Butsuyo Butsu Enyo Butsu En Bobo So Enjo Rakugajo Chonen Kanzeyan Bonen Kanzeyan Nen Nen Shen, Jushin, Gi, Nen, Fu, Ri, Shin, absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha right here. This Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices in the light. Recall this in the dark. Recall this moment after moment. The true heart arises time after time. There is nothing but this absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha right here. This Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices in the light. Recall this in the dark. Recall this moment after moment. The true heart arises time after time. There is nothing but this absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha right here. This Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices in the light. Recall this in the dark. Recall this moment after moment. The true heart arises time after time. There is nothing but this. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the sixth world and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be free from all interferences and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Wayne, Soke, Marvin, Martin, and Amanda. May they have healing and comfort. Kathleen, Bam Bam, and Veronica at the time of their deaths. And to those names we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time. All honored ones born prayer for Zazen. Please stand for communion. First and third rows, please turn right. Second and fourth rows, turn left. We will now recite the Song of Covenant, which you can find on page 8. We, the Daishin Kokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated comfortably facing the teachers. If you cannot make eye contact with the teachers, please move yourself so that you can. Hatha on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Indeed, may it be so. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for choosing to be here on this day. We just did something yesterday, which was a first for this community, at least as far as I can recall, which is questionable these days. But it seems to me that it was the first time that we've done a home hermitage day, perhaps outside of COVID experimentations. And I wanted to speak a little bit today about what this practice is and how it fits. Interestingly enough, we had some 30 plus people participating. Initially, this had been conceived of as something of benefit for distance folks. There was a great longing for some of those who are not fortunate enough to be within an easy commute to Toledo that wanted to participate in retreat. And, you know, experience has shown that trying to graft an online hybridization on top of a rigorous session is just kind of a noble but foolish effort. It doesn't really work. Everybody ends up feeling a little bit not well met somehow. And so in response to this, I reached back into my own training, into my own teachers, and to those who I'm so grateful to have been able to study with. One I'll name now is Myotai Sensei. She was a fantastic teacher, a deep influence to Doan Sensei and myself, particularly in the area of how to allow Dharma practice and family practice to be deep and full and true. Most Buddhist practice, I think it's fair to say, still to this day lives somewhat in the dichotomy of monastic and everyone else. It's overstated perhaps, but in general, Buddhism writ large, I think this would hold. And the idea of how to, or if we can actually make practice for families the real deal, is one of the opening and evolving questions that faces Zen in the 21st century. And I would say that our temple is doing a goddamn good job of it. So far. There are pitfalls, there are shadows, but that's true of everything. So don't let that stop you. No kidding, that's true of everything. Try to do nothing and you'll have pitfalls and shadows. And so casting around, how shall we run this great experiment? How shall we make this go? And I recalled a teaching from Myotai Sensei, as I said, where she called it home hermitage. And this was probably around 2006 or 7, somewhere around there, I would muster a guess. The internet wasn't such a thing as it is now. There was no Zooming happening anywhere. Emails were in place, but that's about it. And so she made some initial stabs at trying to carve out what would essentially something like a Zen Sabbath at home look like? What might that be? With some parameters and guidelines to sort of help shape the space, but largely to leave us to our own, and yet to be doing this synchronously. Well, after we tried that a few times, it kind of came and went as one of those experiments that does occur from time to time. But then a decade plus later, the idea reemerged in conversation with how might we make a retreat framework that works in this way. And not only for the distance folks, but a lot of our local Toledans participated and found it to be a very enriching experience. So this brings up an opportunity for me to discuss some challenges that come if the mind is mired in binary dualism, okay? I cannot overstate how much trouble and how much suffering comes from being enmeshed in an exclusively dualistic mind state. Now, occasionally, even much of the time, it's fine. But if that's the only lens we have, it's partial. And if it would be as though saying that the only light that exists is the light which our eye can perceive. This is short-sighted. There's X-ray, there's infrared, there's all kinds of bandwidths that exist. Whether or not they're apparent to the human eye is a separate issue altogether. And so this dualistic mind has these very insidious ways of ensnaring us, and really crystallizing our modes of suffering so that we can't even see that they're optional. Now imagine yourself, and maybe this doesn't take a lot of imagination for some of us, unfortunately, but imagine yourself growing up in a situation where you are taught, and everyone in your family and everyone in your culture all kind of aligns around this supposed fact that there are good people and then there are evil people. And there's a bright, clear line, and the good people are like so, and everyone else is evil. And in fact, not only are they evil, they're not even really fully human, right? We have the chosen and the unchosen. We have the saved and the damned. We have you know the story. Now imagine that you really took that in and took that on as an innocent young person. And I would advocate here you have been subjected to child abuse. However, it's replete, it's everywhere. And it doesn't have to just be religious. It can be nationalism, it can be tribalism of any kind of us versus them. You can pick your lines to draw battles on, it doesn't really matter. But psychologically, spiritually, this dividing of the world into chosen and not chosen, or saved and damned, and et cetera, right? And of course, what we have to do is project that further. We have to make the ultimate of the saved as some deity figure, some hero, something, some state, some myth of the fatherland or whatever the hell. And then over here, we have to have an enemy. We have to have a Satan or a demon or some kind of a target, you see. And then even worse, if you can imagine, that you are taught as a sincere young person that these forces are at play in your life, in your young 6-year-old life. The ultimate forces of nature are whispering temptation and guidance. And if you choose the wrong, you shall eternally be damned. Can you imagine that? Do you have to imagine it? But if you step away from it for a minute and view it as someone who was not subjected to this kind of mental abuse, you can see quite clearly how damaging this would be. That you would look upon your friends on the playground and see clearly that at least 2/3 of them are damned. because they wear the wrong color shirt or some shit. They were born, by fate and grace and karma or whatever. They're born in the wrong culture, in the wrong kind of body, with the wrong kind of beliefs, and on the billions they're damned. Right? Now, the thing is that kind of abuse starts to filter into the way you see everyday life. Not just these grand schemes, but, at the grocery store, right? Like in traffic, in the voting booth, let us say. Everything becomes crystallized along these hard binary lines of yes and no, of correct and evil. The mere idea that you would negotiate in good faith with someone of a different view is evidence to your damnation. Because after all, remember, they're not really people, they're evil. Unfortunately, I'm not spinning a tale that's too distant, am I? When we look across the landscape of social media and the news and perhaps the upcoming Thanksgiving dinner, good luck, this shit is real, right? And this impacted way of sort of reifying the dualistic mind and its corollary, which is this need for certainty, this absolute desperate need to have it be completely, this is true, and I won't hear any otherwise. And anything that doesn't conform to my preordained truth is fake. Anything that even slightly conforms to it is true, right? Well, you can see how this sets one up for a life of suffering. In fact, this initial abuse is harvested by the poor person trying to grow up in a world, we try to make ourselves safe, we try to make ourselves be good people, we have good intent, but the operating system, dear one, is flawed. No matter how much good intent we pour into an algorithm like that, it will produce lines along which battles inevitably must occur. And this is not acceptable. This is absolutely unacceptable. This is not another one of those lines, I'm a Zen Buddhist, and you're not, so really, you defame everything we're about if you even entertain such ideas. You're way off the mark, right? And this kind of thinking can lead one, even if you've, let us say, broken free of the obvious chains of such foolish myths and ideologies that really humanity should evolve past, please. Still, that sort of need to dualistically put everything on a side of right and wrong and allow no negotiation can infect and influence our minds long after we think we've deconstructed it. So, for example, Song of the Grassroof Hermitage by Master Shitao in the 8th century. Opening line, I built a grass hut where there's nothing of value. After eating, I relax and enjoy a nap. Now, if you have a mindset that tries to set everything up this versus that, you might read that and say, oh, that's the true way to do it. That's what I have to do. I've got to do exactly, literally that. And you can get very fundamentalist and literalist about that, right? And so then you might convince yourself that an organized session is simply a waste of time because look at Master Shitao. After eating, he relaxes and enjoys a nap. But you see, you would have fallen into a false dichotomy. Or perhaps, let us say, you participate in the session and you taste for yourself the sweet nectar of what it is to let the schedule carry you and allows you to actually access deeper parts of yourself than you would ever be willing to put up with on your own. You know? And you think, wow, that's it. That's it. We need the schedule. We need the formality. We've got to have, we will have order. And then again, you might make this mistake where you say, that's the true one true way. But again, false dichotomy. Not so. Not always so. You see, there are times where we absolutely need the rigors of formal practice. That's why we have things like a high seat and a funny color robe and gray and black and roxus and stuff. Incense and bells and processionals and recessionals. Why do we do that? We're in the building anyway. Do we really need to process in here? We're all here. It's not like we don't know what's going to happen, But actually we do. It turns out we do. We need a crisp, clear way to begin and to make the space sacred and to begin to feel what sacred space is. But, dear one, if you attach to those forms, you will make yourself a Buddhist nest of suffering. This is not acceptable, you see? So the other half of that is because we have the formal way of practicing and being just so and organizing it the way we need to organize it as folks, that empowers the sort of free-floating intuitive stuff to be real, you see. So in home hermitage, for example, there's no timekeeper, It's not like there's little bells ringing and everyone has to stand up and sit down at the same time. It's not like that. It's very free-flowing. But the practitioner needs to know how to create sacred space and needs to have the internal skills to be able to tell what their body and their spirituality and their psychology really yearns for. You have to be able to tell, and you have to be able to know how to respond to that, you see. And so the way it works out is that a healthy experience of rigor and structure ends up supporting and informing a healthy version of kind of intuitive chaos practice. And these two don't fight each other at all. It's not like one or the other with a bright line in between and which is the true. It's not like this, right? The reality is that we are subtle, we are complicated, we are not some mono-voiced fixed entity. You are a constellation of complicated factors, right? You're not just one thing. You're not just like, it's not like there's a little true you back here somewhere running all the show that just is the fact of you. It's not like that. You're a constellation of conflicting impulses, true or false. Right? So, yeah. And so let's acknowledge that, and let's learn how to actually, when it's time to be formal, really do it, right? Like really throw yourself into that moment because there's going to be an informal moment just around the bend. And when that time comes, just go there, right? Some of us will have an inclination towards the forms and the norms and the clarity. Some will have an inclination towards chaos and let it hang out. And either way is okay, but don't make a nest. You need both sides, right? So, for example, I don't have a practice of wearing a samaway 24/7. And that's a conscious behavior on my part. I could. According to the lineage in my station, I would have every right to live in the world in, what to most people looks like a karate gi. A little cool samaway with a thing. It's kind of fun, But actually, no thank you. I prefer jeans and a polo at the right time. You know what I mean? But like right now, if I was sitting up here in my khakis and a polo, it would kind of be a little bit off. Why is it off? Because it wouldn't help the moment we're in. That's the only use of it at all. If it's not helping the moment we're in, ditch it, man. Right? In itself, what is it? It's some cloth. It's a chunk of wood, man. It's, But if you understand from the Dharma eye, it's creating a Buddha field of practice. And that's where it has the value. And each one of us has to learn how to manifest that in our own lives. Whether or not your fate curses you to one day sit here is irrelevant. You sit in the high seat of your life, like it or not. And I hope you do like it. But you are in that high seat, and no one else can sit there for you. You might desperately want to give the keys to anybody else. No deal, man. No way. Your car, your circus, your ticket, right? That's the bottom line fact. Not your mom or your dad or your kids or your job or anyone else. Not your life partner, and nobody can actually sit in your high seat. So how do we taste what it is to occupy that correctly? And it's not going to look the same for any of us. You know, my way of making a living in the world is I teach music. I'm a music teacher. So that shows up in a very specific kind of way that would be very different if I was a dentist or a stock trader or a carpenter or something. But because I've been so fortunate to tumble into real training and to have had my teachers actually put up with me and be willing to guide me over the very long term that it takes, I've been able to find my way into the authentic expression of this mystery, which will never put up with having a bow wrapped around it and being put on a shelf. Oh, no. No, it won't. So this watch your own mind's utter fascination with bright lines of truth and false. Solitary practice or community practice or whatever. I will make sure the forms are always correct, or I'm the iconoclast, I'm free of forms. Watch out. It's just different sides of the same fly paper that you're stuck to. It doesn't matter what side of the fly paper you prefer or that attracts you. It doesn't matter. It's still a trap. Don't be fooled. See? Learn what it is to embody the healthy, empowered expression of clear form. And learn what it is to express and experience the healthy experience of intuitive. Does this make sense? There'll be times, there'll be seasons, one of which approaches quickly, Ango. Ango is on the horizon, y'all, right? That is a time to really make a decision to kick it up a notch and to dig in, and I hope every one of us here does that. The reason why we have these seasons of practice is because they help. They really do. Like when you understand, oh, Ango's coming, to a seasoned practitioner, that means something. There's a different feeling in the air. There's a different texture to the practice, and it's delicious, and it's rigorous. Because no matter how much you're engaging with your Buddha Dharma, kick it up a notch, please. So no matter where you are on the mandala, please kick it up. Please dig in more. What that looks like will vary, you know. I've been in the flow of Ango and non-Ango seasons since I was 18, and I'm now, whatever I am, 54. Because I've had lots of Ango come and go, but you know what? Every single Ango, okay, now, what does it look like? As an 18-year-old undergrad, how am I going to kick it up a notch? As a 28-year-old, whatever I was in the world at that time, you know, contending jazz musician in the city or whatever it was, you know, Aikido student, how am I going to kick it up a notch here? 38, 48, hopefully 50, 60, 70, 80, 98. I'd love it. But I don't know that that's going to happen. For all I know, this Ango coming may be the last I ever see in this form. It's possible. Could be for you too. So I ask you, how will you kick it up a notch? Knowing that we cannot guarantee even a single day and night. You see, because really what we're talking about is how do you unwind the conditioning that causes you to suffer? That's really what this is about. It's not adhering more perfectly to some revealed truth that you're never quite sure is really there, and to prove that you're on the right as opposed to the wrong side of some stupid goddamn line that a bunch of men drew, and they don't care about you. This is not, no. This is, how do I live more authentically? How do I realize the truth of my life and actually bring that and live that powerfully, nobly, with dignity, even when it's depression and it's grief and it's sadness? The nobility of your practice does not depend on those things being absent. It depends on your own mind. How do you express your truth? It doesn't depend on the content of the moment. The content of the moment can be everything from elation to depression and everything in between. And that's not the gig. The gig is not to stack all the moments to be pleasurable or even comfortable. I mean, I prefer pleasure and comfort, yes, but that's not what my practice is about. My practice is about realizing the inherent freedom within any place on that scale. So the good thing about that is wherever you are is perfect. You can dig in right in the situation you're in. Yes, even with that, whatever it is. You know, being the age I am now, a lot of my peers are contending with parents that are passing away or have passed away, or illness, you know. A lot of people in my age range are dealing with empty nest kind of issues or all kinds of things. And it's perfect field for training. But so was being in your 20s. Or maybe when it's your turn, if you're lucky enough to live to a ripe old age to find yourself in hospice, then that is your high seat. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. If you can realize it. And I've seen this. I'll invoke Tenka. You know, she realized that her life was ending, a Sangha member, and she was in the process of studying to receive Jakai. Those of you who have just received Jakai who were in this room know how fortunate you are. You lived. And I mean that. You were alive long enough to go through the process and to receive the initiation and empowerment. Do not undervalue this. This is a very big deal. In Tenka's case, her illness came swiftly upon her, and it was impossible for her to continue. And so we did what it took. We went into the hospital and hospice, and we did Jakai. We made a Jakai ceremony and gave her the Dharma name and the Raksu, and she wore that for the duration of her earthly life. That's how serious this is. You can practice in the hospice. Do you get it? And it doesn't depend on you affirming belief in the saving power of Buddha. Oh, for God's sake. Come on. Come on. Really? Come on. What is real? I'll conclude by bringing up some teaching from the Pali Canon that has really been informing me of late, and I think it's worth sharing. I shared this a little bit yesterday, and we'll conclude with it. But it really has to do, the sutta is called Removing the Defilements of Mind. What, monks, are the defilements that defile mind? Covetousness and unrighteous greed. is a defilement that defiles the mind. Ill will is a defilement that defiles the mind. Anger is a defilement which defiles your mind. Hostility is such. Denigration is such. Insolence is such. Envy, miserliness, deceit, fraud, obstinacy, rivalry, conceit, arrogance, vanity, heedlessness. All of these are defilements that defile mind. The practice, dear one, is not to accept that this is some divine revealed truth, and if you don't do it, Buddha's going to smite you or some shit. It's not like that. You don't need to believe anything. All you need to do is pay attention to your own experience when you were inhabiting, say, rivalry. If you're in the mind of being in rivalry with maybe a nemesis or a past version of yourself or a parent who didn't really do such a great job or whatever it is, you're suffering. You're not winning. It's not helping anything. All that's happening is you are sitting there stewing in your own samsaric juices, baby. That's it. It's not doing anything for you, if you're honest. If you sit there and embody envy and see the world through the mind of envy, you can. I mean, it's in the bandwidth of human possibility. But when we do that, if we pay attention, what we're doing is we're enshrining and practicing our own prison cell, right? So you can be sitting there looking like a Buddha in Zazen, and actually your mind, let us say, has been hijacked by one of those alien face huggers called, let's pick another one, conceit, right? And all you see is through the lens of conceit. And it gets so close you don't even realize it. You think that face hugger is your face. It's not. It's a prison. It's a mask. It's not you at all. But you have to be able to recognize that conceit or that divisiveness or these things, right? And so your practice has to do with coming to terms with your own preferred style of suffering. Being able to recognize suffering as suffering. Because like the dark side, it gives you a quick hit of pleasure or power or something, but it's a bad trade. You trade your happiness for it. So I ask each of us to really pay attention, whether it's formal, rigorous, high seat like this kind of stuff, session, or whether it's informal like time to mow the lawn practice. Either way, you're on the high seat. Do you see it? Do you recognize it? When it's time for you to be a spear carrier and receive orders and carry them out, that too is the high seat. When it's time for you to lead the people in your life that look to you to do so, because that's your practice at that time. Be able to take up the spear, be able to put it down, be able to be in the lead, be able to be in the background, every space in between. There's no fixed point. But each of them, beware these defilements of mind. That's where the suffering comes. And that's where the freedom from the suffering can come. So as Ango approaches, I want to encourage each of us to really look at your schedule, see what you can do to connect with Sangha circles, which I really can't speak more highly of. It's a great practice to gather without teachers around in community members' homes and to discuss together in a way. It's just really enriching. And sesshin, pay attention. See if you can get yourself some time where you can come and really dig in, right? Know what it's like to be the formal practitioner so that you can know what it's like to be the informal practitioner. And above all, beware the seduction of quick, easy answers to complicated problems. Don't buy them. Even though Part of us longs for a quick soundbite answer. Don't be fooled. Don't reduce your life to a quick soundbite answer. Wake up, pay attention, live in the mystery of not knowing, for the benefit of all beings throughout space and time. May it be so.
We will now recite the Bodhisattva's vows. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Thank you, everyone. It's been an honor practicing with everyone today. Be mindful that the gong will and the chant will begin our lunch together. Are there any announcements?
She was talking about Sangha circles, and this is the week to register. Registration closes on next Sunday, and they're filled up first come, first serve, but there's like 12 choices, so hopefully something for everybody. You have an email that has a link, and then I'll post the link on the Facebook page today also. And if you have any questions, see me.
My name is Dagen. I have brought in about 40 pounds of tomatoes from my garden today for anyone who would like some. They're currently in the kitchen. There's also, excuse me, a few jalapenos and a spattering of other veggies as well. So anyone that would like some, there are also some Meyer bags. You can take whatever you like. So that's what we need.
My name's Ayun. Good afternoon. Speaking of tomatoes, Saturday we resume Pastathon. So come one, come all, come new, come experienced, come curious about making pasta noodles and pasta sauce. Come for part of the day or all of the day. We would love to practice with you. Details are on Facebook. They'll be coming, and I'm happy to talk with anyone who wants more information. Thank you.
My name is Tensen. I just wanted to add that if for some reason all these different events that we're talking about and the emails that we're talking about, you're not really sure because you haven't got the email, check your junk folder. Surprise, surprise, you know, whatever reason, sometimes they're there. So, thank you.
I'll round it out. I'm Reverend Zuise. Roshi talked today about formal and informal practice, and one way to step up your practice during Ango is formal practice, session. There will be an Ango opening session and a couple other sessions during Ango. And if you would like to attend and you have never been to a session, please get in touch with me about the steps to make that happen. And please do it soon, very soon, if you would like that to be September. Thank you.
I'll be quick. I'll tag on to Zuise's announcement. We're changing session a little bit for Ango. We're adding on the Thursday before session opening an open sky sit starting from 6:50 in the morning, which is the normal morning sitting time, and then the Zendo will be open for for you to come in and sit. So there won't be bells, and bring your own lunch and dinner. And if you need more info, please see me.
I have one last announcement. Sorry, it'll be the last. So next month, there are 4 teens that have signed up for Seigen, which is our coming of age into our community. So that's really exciting. But if there is anyone out there that has a teen that's still interested, I mean, you pretty much have up until it's the first Sunday, or the last Sunday of September to kind of get in that cohort. So if you have any teens that are interested, the more the merrier, but very exciting that we have 4 teens that are going to start that 10-month process this Ango, so keep them in your thoughts. I've spoken, please repair, or just repair the Zendo. It's fine.